Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jen Trepic, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. This week's nutrition nugget is called Toss It Out. So, who else, show of hands that I can't see, has a hard time throwing away food?
100%.
Right? This is a little confronting for some of us. So
yes.
It reminds me of what we were told, many people were told as kids about finishing food on our plates.
No.
But didn't your parents say there's children starving somewhere, finish your food? So,
yes.
Right? It's so funny. We're taught all these things, or we're told these things. And when we start to think about it, right, how does me eating this food change anything for the person on the other side of the world who doesn't have food on their plate, right? It doesn't. So what we can do, right, we want to remind ourselves, if we're done eating, the food on our plates has served its purpose. It's no longer needed, right? It does serve to satisfy, our own needs, right? But we don't need to satisfy somebody else's needs if we eat it, right? That is a disconnect. So we can think about if we're done eating, the food has served its purpose, it is no longer needed, we can toss it, right? With leftovers, I'm giving you permission to toss them out, right? And with the caveat of saying, if it's food that you would otherwise normally eat, cool. If it's food you'd otherwise normally eat on any given day, put it in the fridge, let it be some version of meal prep, right? Make life a little easier on another day. However, if it is food that you would not typically have in your home, toss it, right? Or give it away, right? Whether that's, giving it to somebody else for them to take home, or donating it if there are places taking donations of prepared food, or bring it into an office, right? For people who are back in the office. It does not make you a bad person to get rid of food that does not serve you in your home, right? Whether it's leftovers, whether it's, what's still on our plate when we feel like we're done eating, right? You could also, by the way, if you're at somebody else's home and they're insisting on giving you food to take, and it's not food that you would otherwise eat, it doesn't contribute to that version of meal prep, right? I'm giving you permission to take it and toss it. Or take it and give it, just like we talked about with the other things, right? Keeping that food around does not turn it into nutritious fuel, right? It does not turn it into anything, anything that for many of us, other than a potential reason to beat ourselves up, and I want to make sure that we're moving away from beating ourselves up for tossing out food. Okay. So remember that it served its purpose. It was enjoyed. And now it's time to move on. Right. It reminds me of, I'm sure I've shared this story before. I had a client, he and his wife moved into a new apartment and people kept sending them cookies. And they were like, good God, we don't need all these cookies in our house, So they each had one of the cookies, of the different kinds. They each had one. And then they almost had a little ceremony over the trash can. And they said, thank you, cookies. We feel very welcome in our new home. You've served your purpose. We don't need you anymore. And they threw the cookies out. If it helps to have a little ceremony like that, cool, do it, right? It's just something for us to recognize that holding on to those things, if it's creating stress or creating unnecessary temptation or creating anything other than making life easier, you have permission to toss it. Now, one other thing. You know what else we can toss? Any ideas?
Stuff.
Right. Well, yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yes, we could toss out stuff. And that includes going to the fridge and the freezer, right? Toss the stuff that's no longer good, right? If it's past its usable life, toss it. The condiments that have been in there for longer than you can even remember, toss them, right? That fruit roll-up that's now a potential weapon, toss it. I say that because, by the way, I found a fruit roll-up once in my dad's house years later after growing up. And we were like, oh my God, I can't believe this is here. And we were sort of joking about it. And then we accidentally dropped it and it shattered like glass on the floor. So that fruit roll-up that you have too, toss it. Everything in your freezer that has freezer burn, toss it, right? I believe that it is a sign of our health when we can see the difference between that which serves us and that which does not. And you don't need to keep anything in your home that does not and will not serve you. So there you have it. You have permission to toss it out. All right. Well, thank you again, Dee, for joining me. I appreciate you choosing 5 episodes and being here today. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Jen Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or really all social media. I'm at Jen Trepeck, JenNTrepeck. Website is asaladwithasideoffries.com. Wherever it's easier, social media or the website, send a message, your takeaways, your ideas for episodes or nutrition nuggets, your questions, whatever you got, I am here. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. Or D. If you are not already a member, join our membership program by going to glow.fm/saladwithasideoffries to show your support for this podcast, this community, and your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the turkey stuffed delicata squash and access to your quarterly live session, just you and me. So here's wishing you and yours the absolute most wonderful holiday season. And we'll see you here next week for one more episode of 2022. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.